Hello, everyone. I welcome you to another learning workshop. This one is where I today talk to you about, take you on a journey with me, where I would like to share with you a piece from my own life and how gratitude, the practice of it, took me more than 9 years and counting. And on basis of that, how I was able to move from frustration to inner calm. So far, if you are following these gratitude series, you may find that we talk about what gratitude is, the concept, how it impacts our mind, the various ways we can practice gratitude and rewire our mind and totally change ourselves. In my story today, I bring to you a slice from my life through which perhaps you can understand how gratitude and cultivating it can bring in a profound change. So if I can change, so can you. Let's get started. Almost 13 years ago, when I used to work in a corporate, and I was at a very senior position, earning six figures, working around the clock, I would always, there was something which I might say, for a lack of a better word, a constant state of mind that I would live in. Because I was a workaholic, I would constantly was someone who would be stressed, exhausted, snappy, frustrated. So the someone, my younger version, I can say almost 13 years ago, was somebody who was having best of everything in life, specifically in professional life, yet I was exhausted, frustrated. Maybe I was ungrateful. However, I didn't really knew I was in this state of mind. It manifested in my life as someone who would snap, who would wake up anxious. My days were a little blurred, running from one thing to the next. And and this whole concept of gratitude, being thankful, positivity, pleasantness was something they were alien to me. And this is exactly how my state of being was. And my body would react to that. It would be always edgy, tensed, anxiety. Therefore, I also had bouts of vertigo, bouts of anxiety, and a nervous system which was so overwhelmed with the mental pressure and physical fatigue that I don't think there is any better word to articulate that, except that I was totally exhausted with a strained body and mind. One day at office, this thing continued, and when I was put on a spot, I misused my authority because I was a senior leader, and I lashed out, came crashing down on one of my colleague, which was something that still stayed with me because my behavior was very unlikely of me. And in addition to this, I also found myself in my personal life when I ended up lashing out at someone who was very, very elderly, a very old, weak woman. And that day I couldn't sleep because I was totally out of my values. And I told myself I was under tremendous guilt and shame, and something I couldn't share with anyone because I felt I don't know, the way I was behaving and reacting to things that never merit so much of reaction. And that day I told myself something had to change. I can't go on like this because I can't live under this burden of guilt and uh, shame. So I reached out to a friend who referred a coach to me. this was my coach for a very brief period of time, but I connected to my coach. And when I shared my story of shame, I was actually honestly very reluctant. I never wanted to share that. However, I did. And when my coach suggested to me to practice gratitude, honestly, again, I never told her this, but I was like, gratitude, seriously? Why should I do of all the things now start thanking things around me? And I was so skeptical about the whole thing. How would gratitude is going to help me? Was my first question to my own self. I did not say anything to her. I pretended that I am very happy, and I walked away from that call. But then when I sat down and thought, how is this going to help me? What is it that if I'm thankful for and it's going to change me? So that was not the only thing that I spoke to my coach, but for the sake of this particular video, I'm just sharing this gratitude piece from the work that I did with my coach. And I was somebody who was way too skeptical to even practice it, let alone believe in it. But then I thought, okay, let me give it a try. And since I was used to journaling, I would write a lot. So on that day, I thought, let me create one column and just write the three things that I'm grateful for. But friends, I would want to share with you when I started to think of just three things I'm grateful for, I found that for next 15 minutes, I actually struggled to find something which I'm thankful for. Because first of all, my brain, this was a new concept for me. 13 years ago, it was something my brain never ever perhaps was aware that there are some pleasant good things which I can pay attention to. And since I had no bank of any positive emotions, it was very difficult for me. I have to struggle and really rake my mind and think, what is it that I'm grateful for? So that night, I actually couldn't get anything that I was grateful for. And I couldn't sleep because I put down my journal. I went to sleep. I was tossing and turning, and this whole idea that I'm not thankful for anything kept me awake. And I was thinking, what the hell is this? Now I was awake, half past midnight, still thinking, but somehow I was back into sleep. But then this brought a profound change inside me. The earlier two incidents, the one with my colleague, the one with that elderly lady, and this whole experience of, is there nothing I have to be thankful for? Was a question that kept chasing me. And one day, I actually sat down and cried a lot. I thought I was so unfortunate that I had no such good thing that I'm thankful for. And when through my tears, I could melt my frustration to a large extent, I practiced a bit of a meditation and then revisited this practice of gratitude and thought to myself, let me start small. And that day, I found not three, but seven things I was grateful for, which include the beautiful sunshine I could feel on my face early up in the morning, the fragrance of the night jasmine right outside my bedroom window, a good cup of tea. And here's where my journey of cultivating gratitude started. That day, that tiny act was a beginning of a massive shift. Let me now share with you how gratitude helped me meet my stressful days at office, where, as I mentioned earlier, while it was not very easy for me to really find what I'm thankful for. But with my consistent practice, there were times where I felt a bit awkward, a bit forced to think, to look for things that I have to be thankful for. In fact, one day what happened was I was in the elevator going in my office, and suddenly I got reminded that I am supposed to write three things I'm grateful for in my journal in the night. And I thought, okay, now that I have time, why don't I start looking for things? But I was in a steel elevator and I couldn't see anything outside. And I was started giggling and laughing to myself. And then when I entered the office, from that hour itself, there was a slow shift in my focus. I was not fixated, I was not snappy, but rather my mind started and began to look for good and things that I'm grateful for. So the the very act of it, the very intention that I made, and the way my brain was slowly, bit by bit, rewiring itself, it also activated the parasympathetic nervous system inside me, which is usually helps us calm our fight or flight stress response and literally helps our body to relax. So the more relaxed I felt, the more I was able to now see the beauty. My inner chatter quieted. I did had challenges, but they didn't spiral. And I was in search of the good that life presented to me for the very first time. Gratitude also helped me bounce back with resilience because gratitude is one of the most strongest weapon that can help you build your resilience. In those 13 years, when I had cultivated this attitude of gratitude, later on, this was 4 years, no, not four, 5 years ago, when my father fell sick. He had a heart ailment, and I was his caregiver for 4 to 5 years when he felt very, very sick. But despite his sickness and my constant run to the hospitals, shifting him, wheeling him inside the ICU and out, there was a deep sense of calm inside me. I was no longer that Mehnaz who was frustrated, snappy, exhausted, because I was now operating out of a very mature mindset. Had I been the earlier person, I would have had a nervous breakdown. But this time, when I was taking care of my father, which I did for 5 good years, including the 2 years of COVID, and then in the year 2021, he passed away. I find this whole experience in which I never left this habit of writing down every night the three things I'm grateful for. So instead of droning in my stress, I found meaning in it. This is how gratitude rewired my perception of hardship. It gave me strength and it helped me process difficulty without collapsing. Friends, gratitude is a mindset and it takes years to get to this, but it's worth every minute you spend getting to it. Let's also understand how gratitude was really able to bring that inner transformation inside me and rewired my brain. Usually, our this is our front prefrontal cortex, the front part of our head. And when we practice gratitude, this activity, I mean, this part of our brain becomes more active. That's a prefrontal cortex. It is called PFC. And this is the area that's responsible for empathy, planning, and emotional regulation. And it also increases with the practice of gratitude. We are releasing a chemical in our brain through our neurotransmitters, which is called dopamine and serotonin. These are our natural mood boosters. So when our mood is boosted, we feel rewarded, we feel that positive, pleasant feelings inside us. These two chemicals are also the same chemicals which are often given to people who suffer from chronic clinical depression. So if you ever heard of people or have seen someone who's suffering from chronic clinical depression, they are given antidepressants, which are more or less the chemicals to balance that chemicals back in our brain, which are serotonin, dopamine, typically these neurotransmitters, which needs to keep us in a pleasant mood and where we are more emotionally regulated, more motivated to take on life as it unfolds before us. With gratitude, you can naturally build this inside you. So now, with me being more resilient, more solution focused, and less reactive, this consistent practice that I'm doing from 9 years plus now changed my entire wiring inside my brain. So I moved away from being that snappy, frustrated human to a way more mature individual who now look at things with a perspective, look for meaning in it, look for lessons to be learned rather than reacting to it. It now has helped me respond with calm instead of chaos. So I'm no longer coping. I was thriving and I'm still doing that. And with gratitude, the practice of it has been very, very instrumental in uh, moving me in this journey of being stressed and snappy to centered and being calm. Now, friends, how can you really cultivate this? How can you really practice this gratitude thing? I have a separate video that I have created, which has those 5 simple ways you can practice gratitude. Watch that and practice it along with me. What I have done in the past 9 years is a combination of all the techniques that I've mentioned in that video about the ways one could practice gratitude and cultivate the attitude of gratitude. And this is how I was able to break this chain of negativity, negative thought process, or feeling reactive, snappy, frustrated, exhausted through various things where now I am more intentional, mindful. I've practiced deep breathing, savoring, grounding, journaling, a lot more. And there are other series also you will find in grounding techniques where you can learn along with me. Then you have this gratitude practice. Plus, you will have savoring techniques that you can learn along with me. With the combination of all this, I'm sure you will also be able to break this chain of negativity, of stress from your life, this default mode network that most of our brains are hardwired to, and move into a state of gratitude and transform your inner self into a state of calm. I would like to close this thing with a small guided meditation. This is also something you can practice because meditation has proven by science that are very instrumental in changing and rewiring our brain. And this one is specifically I use anytime I find I'm running low on time and I need to practice gratitude. So you could also do this. So let's find a place where we are not likely to disturb for the next 3 to 5 minutes and close this session with a small guided gratitude meditation. Sit in a comfortable posture and gently close your eyes, relax your shoulders, loosen up your jaw, and sit comfortably. Now move your focus to your breath. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly. Bring to your mind meaning visualize something. Simple, it could be a thing or a person that you're grateful for today. Maybe your breath, a smile, or a quiet moment. So you need to visualize someone or something which you're grateful for today. It can be as simple as your own breath, a smile, or a quiet moment. Visualize it clearly. As you're visualizing this, feel the warmth that of gratitude it is bringing in your body. Feel that vibe. And now repeat silently after me in your mind's eye. I am grateful for this moment. I am safe. I am grounded. Once again, I am grateful for this moment. I am safe. I am grounded. Let that feeling expand. I am grateful for this moment. I am safe. I am grounded. Let it soften you. Let it calm you. Sit in it for a few more seconds. Now slowly shift your focus to your breath. Inhale deeply and exhale. When you're ready, open your eyes. Thank you for your practice. Friends, gratitude is a tool that's available to all of us. It's free, simple, and deeply powerful. Your transformation begins with one small act, one thank you, one breath of appreciation. If I could do it, so can you. Share this with someone you think who need to hear this, and tell me in your comments, what are you grateful for today? Thank you.